still have Tom on the line. Thank you, Tom, for hanging on. Tom's question was, do trusts help preserve IRAs when we're looking at the long-term care situation? Okay. And the answer is, it's like everything else around this stuff. It's complicated, okay? So the usual planning that people do, the usual trust-based planning, right, that everybody else is doing, is focused on you dying and how do I get your stuff to your kids, okay? And so people will put IRA beneficiaries on the IRA, which in my view is a total disaster, and they'll do all kinds of stuff, right? And then wind up going through probate anyway because they didn't put the assets in the trust, and that is 90+%. 90+% of trusts fail simply because people didn't put the stuff in there. And when I say fail, I mean fail on what they promised to do, which was to avoid probate, because they don't avoid probate because you didn't put the stuff in there, and so they don't work. That's most trusts. Okay, so this is the context that we're talking about. You got to look at the backdrop. You got to look at what's really going on here. Now, my thought is, and I've had this, I'm kind of a one-trick pony. I kind of had this thought decades ago. It doesn't do much good to avoid probate if you have nothing to avoid probate with. And if you've worked your whole life, it kind of stinks to be in a long-term care situation with no choices, with no money, okay? So what we've done over the years is figure out how do we get people qualified for assistance with the long-term care. Now, maybe you don't need nursing home. 70% of people need skilled care. Some of that's at-home care. Some of it's assisted living. Some of it's skilled nursing. Maybe that's not you. Maybe you die early, I guess. Yeah, it happens. But for most people, long-term care is what breaks them. Okay, you run through your money, $12,000, $15,000 a month at the nursing home, and that's only going up. I swear to goodness, that is gonna skyrocket. You can't have nurses not deserting. Self-preservation is what it is. Just the burdens that have been put on the caring professions, and not just nurses. It's CNAs. It's everybody in those caring professions. You can't get people to do it, and they're leaving. And the facilities are desperate. I mean, it's a different world out there than it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Different world. So now how do you do it? Well, everything costs more. So what? Does that mean you go broke quicker? Or does it make it more important that you hang on to what you've got so that you can supplement whatever it is, the Medicare and Medicaid is going to come up with? Well, that's the way I look at it. So the question again, how do we use IRA? How do we preserve IRAs? And Tom, is that kind of the question, right? I mean, how do we preserve the IRA? Or do you want to? Okay. So are you a married guy or what's the story?
I'm
a widower?
Yeah.
Did I catch that? Okay. So you cannot put an IRA, and there was some back and forth years ago on this, but right now it's pretty clear that you cannot use trusts to hold IRAs, whether it's a Roth or a individual retirement account, traditional IRA, whether it's a SEP or a Simple or any of those other plans, a 401k, you can't use a trust while you're alive. Now, you can leave it to your kids in trust, and that's the only smart way to do it, in my opinion. But you can't put you can't put an individual retirement account into a trust without triggering the income tax. So our approach to this is not one size fits all. My approach to this thing is, okay, I've got two kinds of assets here. I've got the qualified assets, which is the IRAs and the 401k, 403, all that kind of stuff, right? Whether it's Roth or traditional, and I don't put that in trust. I don't want to give up the tax benefits. I don't want to give them up for you. I don't want to give them up for the kids, okay? As long as we can keep those benefits, we're going to keep them because that maximizes what you can do. However, we are going to take your home, We're going to take the other money that you have, any life insurance, your stuff, and we're going to protect that. And there's a trust we can use to protect that from lawsuits and long-term care, with you staying in control. It's a grantor type of grant, what they call grantor trust, where you're the boss. It's your stuff, right? But it triggers, it works with the Medicaid rules so that after a period of time, after 60 months, 60 months, after 5 years, Medicaid doesn't care that you have it anymore. The benefits begin as soon as you start, but that's kind of beyond the scope of what we're talking about right now. Anyway, that's the conventional stuff. But what about the IRA? Because for most folks, most of what they have, many folks at least, most of what they have is in the IRA. Okay? Well, if it's a married couple, we can save most of it, pretty much all of it, married couple. Okay? For single people, though, we can only save about half, right? About half of what you've got in the IRA. If you need skilled nursing care, we can still save about half. Now, the thing I want to make really clear should exercise my voice before I start. I'd make that clear. Anyway, the thing I want to make really clear here is it's always a individual case by case situation, because they keep changing the law on us. They keep changing the rules. So what worked before, what worked for your friend at the shop or buddy at church or whatever else, isn't working anymore. Single people, the thing used to be, we're going to spend down. We're going to buy furniture. We're going to buy all the... You can't do that anymore. All right? I mean, they changed the rules back in February. So it's going to be an individual thing. But we can still save about half of the IRA in addition to all of the other stuff that you have.